Hi, this is Andrea Walford from the Paper Crafters Library for Maya Road. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can use your Maya Mist to color in outline images as well as create this beautiful soft halo effect that you see around each of the images in this tag here. So for my tag, I'm using Maya Road's Ornate Vintage Butterfly Stamp Set, and I've chosen the two butterflies that I want to have in my tag. So as you can see, I have them here loose in my hands. So I'm just going to position them on my tag where I want them to appear, leaving enough room for a little greeting that I'm going to put at the bottom. And then I'm going to take my grid block and I'm going to press it right onto the stamp, and that way I can get my both butterflies stamped at the same time. I don't have to ink and stamp again with my butterflies mounted on two separate blocks. So I'm using a black pigment ink because I want to emboss my butterflies, so I need to make sure I have a slow drying ink to hold my embossing powder. And I'm making sure both images are completely covered. So I'm now going to position my butterflies once again on my tag where I had them, and then press down to stamp. There you can see I have a perfect image. So I'm now going to hold my tag over my coffee filter, and I'm using a black embossing powder to sprinkle over both my butterflies, making sure that I tap off the excess. So there you can see what that looks like. So at this point now, I'm just going to carefully funnel my embossing powder back into the container so I don't end up with any wastage. And then using my heat tool, I'm just going to heat my images until the embossing powder melts. So as you can see here, my butterflies are now embossed. So I'd like to color them, and to color them I'm going to be using my Maya Mists. I've chosen Sunburst Orange, Lemon Metallic, and Cotton Candy Metallic. Now I'm going to be coloring them using a water brush. You can use a paintbrush. I actually don't have any water in the barrel of my water brush. I simply want to use it as a paintbrush, and I want the water to be a lot more controlled than if I had water in my barrel. So I've got a palette here beside me, and I've already swirled these up, and I'm just going to very carefully remove the lid, and just using the end of the pump, I'm just going to put a couple drops of each color, one in each well on my palette. I've also got a paper towel handy here that I'm going to use to buff the mist off of the embossing powder to create kind of a halo effect around the butterfly. So I'm simply going to pick up the color with the tip of my water brush and then apply it directly onto my image. And you can see how beautifully it paints on. The Maya Mists have such intense pigmentation in them that you get really vibrant colors. And if you find that as it dries, the intensity of the color decreases at all, then you simply go back over the image with the color once again. And you can, as long as you make sure your paper is dry in between, you can go back several times. I'm now going to use a little bit of the orange to color the top portion of my butterfly. And what I like about using my mists like this is it's another way to use them. You don't just have to use them as mists. You can use them to color in any outline images that you may have. So it really extends their versatility. You can also mix them with gesso or a white craft paint to create colored paints. So that's a really cool way you can use them as well. And then you can paint in, and you would just get a little bit more of a muted effect and a little bit more opaque as well. So there you can see what my first butterfly looks like colored in with the Sunburst Orange and the Lemon Metallic. So I'm now going to take a little bit of my Cotton Candy Metallic and I'm going to color in the bottom butterfly. And one of the things you'll notice, even if you're careful to pick up only a little bit of the mist on the tip of your brush, is that it seems to sit on top of the cardstock just a little bit before it soaks in. I think I'm going to bring some of that pink down a little bit. And each time I have a little bowl of water off to the side here, and that's what I'm using to clean my water brush so that I don't contaminate the ink colors in between. You can, I don't know if you can see, but where the yellow kind of touches the pink, it blends into a little bit of an orange, which is really pretty. So there you can see what that pink now looks like. So I'm now going to take my paper towel, and you can see I've kind of crunched it up, and I'm just going to use that to kind of buff some of the color, any of the excess mist off the embossing powder, but I'm buffing from the inside outward, and you can see as I do that, it pulls some of the color off, and it creates almost like a halo around the butterfly. Now, that only works, of course, if you ended up with much of the mist around on the embossing powder. If you find that you're not getting that pretty halo effect, which is what I'm trying to, one of the things I want to show you about this technique, it's a combination of coloring plus the halo. You can go in with a little bit more of the mist, deliberately put it on to the embossing powder, let it sit for just a moment before pulling the color out. So I'm just going to go on and work on this bottom butterfly while I wait for that to seep in a little bit. And you can create as much or as little of this halo effect as you want. If you find you're just not getting enough, you just keep going back with a little bit of the mist. You don't want it too heavy or too saturated, otherwise you're going to end up with a little bit too bright of a halo around. So I like to let it sit for just a few moments on there before I go and try to spread it. So I'm going to come back with the pink. And there you can see the pink's a little bit more intense now. And then I'm going to come back with the yellow, and I'm going to spread that out. So there you can see what a pretty halo effect it creates. And here I'm going to show you, this is a tag where I've increased the intensity a little bit more by going back several times with my mist over my butterfly and then coming back and blending out as you saw me do with my paper towel. So you can see how easy it is to create some gorgeous effects using your Maya mists. And here you can see, with the addition of the Jonathan Mini chipboard alphabet from Maya Road embossed, some black tulle, and a little charm, you've got this really pretty tag that you can use to adorn a gift.